This is in my kitchen, and I'm trying to transform my kitchen a little bit just into a little friendlier place for raw foodies. Um, I have some garlic here. I have some jars for fermentation, and these are organic vegetables from Whole Foods Grocery. These are organic turnips. Um, this is what I have. I'm kind of new to the raw food deal, so I have bought this dehydration for raw vegans, and then I have Dr. Gabriel Cousins, Rabbi Gabriel Cousins, out of Patagonia, Arizona's book. I need to read it. And I bought a nut bag from Amazon.com, and it's from Matt Monarch. He even sent a handwritten letter with the shipment. I got a free sample of some greens, and he sent me some chia seeds. And a nice lady in Venice, California, put a video out on lacto fermentation, and I just got into that a little bit and followed her directions, and I made this lacto fermented jar of vegetables, and I'm going to use that as a base to start these jars of lacto fermentation. I have bananas over here that I've used to dehydrate for banana chips. This is the cabbage we're going to use, and we're going to add some onions to the cabbage for the lacto fermentation. This is something that is a USDA regulated food. If you use this kind of label, it's called Wild Harvest Foods. And this is a persimmon that I stopped just on the side of the interstate. It's like a reservation for fruit trees and wild harvested foods. But it's called Wild Harvest Food. It should be labeled Wild Harvest Food. And that is a USDA regulated, just like organic food, as a healthy, chemical-free, pesticide-free food. And these are persimmons. And I have a very large bag, probably 10 pounds of persimmons, and I'm going to turn them into nut bars. This is the food dehydrator, and these I have it full of bananas for banana chips. And we're just going to ease into this and see if I can follow all these raw fooders along, raw foodies, raw food guys, and we'll just see. I'm out on the tree farm. These are some pine trees that I planted. Anyway, on the sauerkraut, I'm going to make. I'm going to use these wild grape leaves, the vegetables. But I'm just going to take them and clip them right off. Those are even edible. They're a wild grape, eastern wild grape. I don't know if they have them in California or not, but I'm sure they do, especially up north. This is my purple sauerkraut. You can see it has a nice, beautiful color. And I'm just going to slice it up. I'm sure you know how to slice it, so I'm not going to do all that. But I just squeeze it in my hand, just like that. Here I have a little kosher salt in my bowl, and I just sprinkle just a little, very little bit of salt in between the layers. And add it to my jar. And I still have my lactobacillus fermentation. This has been going about a week. And I'm going to put it in the food processor. And this already has the live bacteria in it. We'll split that up in these 3 jars. And here are my grape leaves that I harvested, and those will lay right on top of the I'll stuff those down in the jar, and on top with a rock on top, and that'll hold everything down and in place. These are the cabbage hearts, and those don't ferment so well because they're so thick, and the lactobacillus can't get in there. So we put those in the food processor, and we just want to pulse those. This is the jar of the lactobacillus bacteria. All you have to do to make the starter is put carrots and cucumber and a little zucchini if you want to, some onions, and just put it in a jar and leave it out for about, this is about its 6th day. And I got a really good bacteria going and fermentation going. And I'm just going to pour some of it, maybe a quarter of it, in the kraut itself to get the fermentation process going. And that is only water and vegetables, and the bacteria takes care of itself. I have a large wooden spoon, and I just want to tamp it down as best I can to keep it from floating to the top. But that will start the fermentation process, and I'm going to let this ferment for a few weeks. I have to go to Baltimore, so when I get back I'll have a very sour kraut, and it'll be full of healthy and beneficial bacteria. And then I'll put that in the dehydrator and turn those into crackers with maybe some mustard and anything else you want to add to it. Okay, I have the green cabbage done, and I have this one salted. I think if you add water to it, the salt will still draw it out and it'll do fine. But we're going to do this one a little different. We're just going to set this jar of the green over here, put the lid on it, and we're going to leave it there for about an hour, and we're going to see if the salt pulls out the juice. And I once again added the live bacteria from my jar that I started a few days ago. And we're going to go on to jar number 3. I have these jars, and they're very nice jars. They have a rubber seal inside. They're going to work great for fermentation. We are back with our sauerkraut, and I want to show you guys how to ferment just regular vegetables. These are organic turnips. These are organic carrots. I have a little cucumber, zucchini, elephant garlic, some onion, and have some grape leaves here to finish off our jars today. These are our stones that we're going to put in the jar, on top of the jars of the grape leaves, to hold down the fermentation. And we're going to use this. This is Anaheim. Looks like some kind of ancho, some other kind of green chili, some carrot, a couple pieces of turnip, and some onion. And we're going to blend that, and that's going to be our brine for our vegetables to ferment. So let me blend that real quick when it's blended. And that will go into this jar. You can just add this however you want. This is the jar. So you just start taking turnips and stuff them in the jar. I think that the bacteria will get in between the individual pieces of onion. So I like to pull my onion out of the jar whole, not in little bitty pieces, but that should work good. Anyway, I'm going to finish putting this stuff in the jar. This is how much salt I have. That's about probably 1/8 of a cup. This is my pomegranate juice container. I bought some pomegranates in Southern California, and we're just going to add that. And then we'll just let these, we'll add some filtered water. Just enough to fill it up, and then we'll put some grape leaves on top of that. shove everything out of the way. This is little jars of sauerkraut that I made. It's already starting to fermentate. It's bubbling just a little bit. We just want to stuff some Greek leaves in there. Ever how you want to do it, ever how many you want to put in, you put as many as you want. Just press it down. You should get some juice. And we're just going to put a rock on top to hold the juice down. We're going to set it back up. These are the little jars I did. These are travel jars. I have to go to Baltimore for a few days, so I'm going to take some homemade food with me. And this is the big jar. Just add some grape leaves to the top. Just have a little juice on top. Some nice grape leaf. The grape leaves are almost gone here. It's fall of the year. Okay. Now we got a little juice on top and no cabbage is sticking out. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Let's do the last jar. You can see it's starting to bubble. It's putting out a lot of bubbles. Starting to ferment. We have the starter. You can see this orange layer here. That's the starter that we used. The jar of starter. The 5-day-old vegetables in a jar. You don't have to have a bacteria starter unless you want it real fast, which I don't. I'm gonna let this sit for 4 or 5 weeks while I'm gone out of town, and let it do its thing. But you want to keep your kraut with just a little bit of juice on top. Just weight it down a little. You can always clean the cabbages that comes to the top. You can always clean it off later. Push it back down in there. Ever how you see fit. Well, this is about 24 hours and it's starting to ferment. With the I already have the purple here, and it is looking purple. I'm going to finish filling my vegetable jar. And then another one of these little jars. You hear that noise when you open the jar. I don't know if you can see it or not, but all those bubbles that come to the top, that is about 24 hours of fermentation. And the starter that I made really helps to get it going. It would ferment a lot slower if it didn't already have the bacteria in there that had already grown. But you don't have to have the starter even. It will ferment. It's just like when an apple falls off a tree and it rots. This is just doing the same thing, except it's underwater, and humans can eat it instead of the environment eating it. This one is half cabbage, half onion. And we just want to put a grape leaf in there and a rock to hold her down. And there you have it. Sauerkraut in little jars and sauerkraut in big jars. And the vegetables. I'll let these ferment about 5 or 6 days, and then I'll put those in the refrigerator. This is taro root. If you're ever on a raw food diet, never eat this thing raw because it's poison. It's called taro root. You can find it in Spanish grocery stores. There's a little bud here on top, but you have to cook this. You can't eat it raw, so I would watch it. It's called taro root.